Welcome back to our first story. Health Minister ASHAIMAN Military says more than $6 million has been paid to UNICEF to deliver vaccines as the shortage lingers on. According to ASHAIMAN Military, government expects the shortage to end in the next 3 weeks when the vaccines paid for is delivered. He made statements on the floor of Parliament.
At the time when I went to the ministry, right, I was so bogged up. We're trying to negotiate with Gavi and our donors to actually continue to give us vaccines whilst we started paying for the arrays. We inherited over $15.8 million equivalent in vaccines. There was a shortage of vaccines, and we even had recorded close to about 358 infections in that particular year, 2016. I have statistics here. Mr. Speaker, it's a very serious, public interest issue. The assurances I will give, and I can give for the first time in the chamber here, that this will not happen again. And I will advise that you help me in my advocacy to get adequate funding for vaccines, even the health insurance budget, right? So when we meet with committee, they have always been talking about it, and even in the chamber, it has come up, so that if Parliament approves adequately for us, we always have our budget well-defined, we will be able to supply. And I'll assure you that whatever challenges that happened, I don't think we are going to face these possible challenges any longer. And I'll stand here and assure the House that within the 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we will get vaccines, possibly even probably before that. Even probably before that. So I can't lay my hands on specific dates, but even probably before that, we may get the vaccines, probably even earlier than the 2 weeks that I'm talking about. Throughout the period, we made close to $6.4 million equivalent to UNICEF, who supplies us the vaccines.
My colleague Kweku Asante, who is Parliamentary Affairs Correspondent, has joined us with more. Kweku, did the Minister explain why it will take 3 weeks to fix the problem?
Indeed, Aisha, even for these 3 weeks, MPs have been pushing for some specific days, that these vaccines will arrive in the country. He's unable to give that, and that is why he's given that blanket 3 weeks window to say that within 3 weeks, his expectation is that the country would have received the needed vaccine to supply to health facilities around the world. Some MPs, in particular, those on the minority side, not too excited about the responses of the minister because they wanted some more specific assurances. But the only thing the minister could do was to say that within the next 3 weeks, they expect that this will come in. Obviously, the minister previously had not said that this was a funding issue, but it's now clear that it is funding. The reason why there's a shortage is because his ministry did not have enough money to be able to buy these vaccines. And so he's been telling Parliament to actually support him to be able to get more money from the finance ministry to do some of these things. And Parliament has been committed. Some of these MPs have been committing to support him to do so. But as of now, we do not have any clear day or dates that Ghana will receive much needed vaccine for health facilities across the country, except to expect, as the minister has said, that in the next 3 weeks at least, the country will receive some much needed vaccines.
Mm. We know the MPs have not been happy all this while. How are they responding to this?
I'll take the last one. So we've been hearing from the minority side led by Kwabena Minta-Kando, who is the ranking member on the health committee, who's been saying that the reason why we are here is due to incompetence, and that the minister, the president coming to Parliament to lament is not what MPs want to hear. They want to hear specifics. They want to hear that these are the specific reasons why we do not have vaccines. And for that reason, next week, 2 days, 3 days time, specific dates, vaccines will be coming in. They do not seem to have gotten that. Of course, the majority side MPs have also been expressing worry about the situation, but they say that the minority side especially should cut government some slack, because of course, this is not the first time that there's been vaccine shortage, and that this should not be turned into a political footballing as it were. So both MPs on both sides of the House have been expressing concerns about the development, but ultimately they are keen on holding the minister to account in the next 3 weeks if government do not secure vaccines.
Kweku, what else is happening in Parliament?
So on the floor now, MPs are making statements and comments on International Women's Day. It was commemorated last Wednesday but it was also the day President Akufo-Addo came to Parliament to present the State of the Nation address. So some of these statements, which has become an annual ritual, could not be made. And so on the floor now, the MP for Ayawaso West Logan, Honorable Lydia Sarah Malasan, has delivered a statement, and MPs on both sides of the House are commenting on it. We've heard from Esma Usu, who says that we must get to the point where MPs who are women in their constituencies will not be contested by men, and only women will contest them, invariably turning those seats into women-held seats. In this 8th Parliament, there are only 40 MPs who are female, 20 on both sides, and the MPs say that Ghana should get to a point where we get more female representation in the House. Right after these statements and comments, MPs will get back to debating the State of the Nation address that was presented yesterday. The minority side said that the statement the president offered was hopeless. It did not offer any hope to Ghanaians. Their colleagues from the majority side disagree. They will continue the debate right after these statements are completed.
Asante is our parliamentary affairs correspondent. He will be bringing us more in our subsequent bulletins from Parliament. Of course, the Ghana Police Service has released back into the ASHAIMAN community some 34 individuals who were in the custody of the military that was handed over to them following Tuesday's brutality. Member of Parliament for the area, Ernest Norbert, says he's yet to speak with them, and he says, however, he's yet to meet all 34 suspects and receive briefings from them following their detention. We'll be bringing you the MP's voice shortly on this, but in an interview with JoyNews, ranking member of the Defense and Interior Committee, James Agaga, said the military high command in a meeting with the committee on Thursday accepted responsibility and actually expressed regret for the brutality. Listen.
Scores of residents are gathered here on the streets of ASHAIMAN Taifa discussing the assault by the soldiers. Here, I've met 31-year-old unemployed woman Beatrice Bochu. She looks distressed and says she has not heard from her husband since Tuesday when she was taken away by the military in that swoop.
He had no idea what was happening. They arrested him on his way to a public toilet in the neighborhood. It has been 3 days now, and I have not heard anything from him. Our child is unwell. He's the breadwinner of the family. He takes care of us financially. It has been difficult getting food to eat. 3 days, I have not been able to send our child to the hospital. I am begging government to intervene for him to be released. My husband knows nothing about what happened.
It is possible Beatrice's husband is part of the 34 ASHAIMAN residents who have now been handed over to the Tema police for further investigation and possible prosecution. ASHAIMAN MP Ernest Norbert says the residents were picked on Tuesday and have now been handed over to the police.
But by and large, as we sat in the meeting today, and they have admitted that there were excesses and they were going to go to the ground and also ascertain the facts, we still have about 34 men with the military, which this afternoon the CDS told me they were sent to the police high command in Tema. And so I'm going to make a follow-up to the commander, the police commander, the regional commander in Tema to see what the outcome of their screening is, so that if there's a need for us to even require bail for them, we will do that. But as I speak to you, about 34 of them are still in police custody. Per the briefing of the CDS, that they have sent them to the regional command of the police.
You also have marks on your body?
Yeah, I do have
let me see that. Whoa. Wait, what caused this? What did they use to beat you?
Any weapon they have on their hands. Others were using rope.
Oh, no. He still have some bruises behind him, but we can't show that on TV.
They were using...
These are assault marks behind you?
Yes, sir.
What kind of weapons?
Others were using neem tree branches and cables, PVC pipes and all types of things that they are holding.
So when were you released? Were you released on the same day?
Yeah, I was released on the same day around 11 p.m. as my colleague friend said it. So
you're also only in boxer shorts?
Yes.
No singlet or anything?
No dress, no dress.
And they dropped you at what?
ASHAIMAN roundabout.
This is the exact spot where the 21-year-old Sheriff Imoru fell. Residents here tell me that they discovered the body here early in the morning. We're told that he had run from a distance of about 300 meters after he was stabbed, but couldn't continue with his journey and then fell right here. And this is the point where the community people discovered the body. Goswe Kumakil is one of the organizers of a press conference calling for justice and punishment for the perpetrators of Tuesday's brutality.
We were beaten. You roll on the floor, you eat like a dog on the floor. We were left, they left us around 10:30 that way.
Okay.
And they took us from official town, but bringing us home, they left us at Timber Market with only a boxer short and no tops.
Wait, when you were going, were you wearing a shirt?
We were picked up from official town with no top.
You're not allowed to wear anything?
We are not allowed to wear dress. Okay. We are bare-chested like my gentleman, but with only boxer shorts. From here to Michelle Camp to Bema Camp. In bringing us back, we were left at Timber Market, the runabout, naked like that. David
Kemi is a former teacher. He has a deep cut on his head, and then he also has some assault marks at his back. He says the soldiers who meted out those beatings to them must be made to face the full rigors of the law.
Somewhere 4 o'clock, I opened my gate. When I opened the gate, I saw the armor car under the shade of the tree, just at the back of the shade of the tree, and the one commando here, standing here, and he used the gun on me. So asked me to come. So I thought he needed an information. But then I was my boxer. I did not wear anything. So when I came, he just asked me to go closer. But then the water was on the ground. So when I was there, before I could realize, about 3 of his team came around. They started slapping me, and then they asked me to roll on the ground. Head, but this cut is from the birds.
We can now hear from the MP for ASHAIMAN, Ernest Nogbe, who says he's yet to communicate with the 34 individuals that were released into the community.
To speak, but we are making frantic effort to have all of them at one place so that we'll be able to talk to them. But yes, I can confirm that yesterday I met with the Chief of Defense Staff who told me they were going to release them after yesterday. And so early this morning, we spoke, and he confirmed to me that he has released them back to the community. They were not released to the police command. They were just released back into the community. So I'm making frantic effort to put all of them together so that we can speak to them.
But before their release, what were the issues, or what did the military tell you, reason why they kept them? Because we knew that there were 180 and then some were released and then these 34 individuals were left. Why were they being kept?
Well, that was what, according to them, they found illegal substances on some of them, which they were doing further and better screening to ascertain the veracity of or otherwise of it. And so 150 out of them were released because according to them, most of them were just going to work, and some were also on bed when they picked them up, so they had to release them as quickly as possible. And the remaining 34, some of them also, according to them, have some questionable characters and demeanors, whatever. And so that is why they kept them to do better and further checks on them before they release them.
So on what basis are they releasing them now?
Well, which means that what they were looking for, they couldn't find anything, because if that is the case, what they told me earlier was the reason for which they were keeping them, and now they released all of them it means it was just baseless for keeping them there. And that is why we're saying that their right to freedom is being infringed.
What has become of your decision to go to court to get justice for these young people?
It's still pending. It's still on the table. We are working. We are putting all the documents together, and we'll soon be heading to court. Either we'll go to court or we'll petition.
Away from ASHAIMAN, Ghana is advancing in selected areas of digital transformation, but the country is without a coordinated strategy. The details are contained in the latest Digital Development Compass of the UN Development Program. President Ekufuor, during his State of the Nation address this week, touted the numerous interventions of his government in transforming the nation through technology.
We have now reached a point where we feel the impact of technology as an irreversible way of life. We have digitized many processes. The Ghana card has become a one-stop shop for Ghanaian identity and its usages. We're fully convinced that our embrace of an investment in information technology and the digital infrastructure will help us to redefine our traditional concepts of time, space, speed, and nature of conducting business within our society, economy, and culture. Information technology helps all segments of society to be integrated and transformed through connectivity, in facilitating the production, distribution, and consumption of information within the whole economy and society. We have integrated many processes within the digital environment, and for this, we have to recognize the efforts of many component parts of the government, such as the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization, the National Identification Authority, and especially the Vice President, Dr. Alhaji Mahood Bawumia. Who I understand has been nicknamed E. Bawumia. Our need for technological reinforcement within all our structures and spaces is unending, and we will continue to push the frontiers of our engagement with the technologies of information, economic development, and human transformation.
However, the latest index by the United Nations agency UNDP says in terms of digital infrastructure, Ghana is not performing well, although internet service providers and mobile networks are growing. Data exchange remains the main challenge because it is still at the basic stage 1 level. Dr. Angela Lusigi is the UNDP representative in Ghana. She spoke on Foreign Affairs, which airs later tonight.
Well, actually, we have a Digital Development Compass as UNDP, which provides data to track the government readiness and in order to expand the digital space. And I must say that Ghana is doing quite well in some aspects, but not in others. For example, when it comes to the vision and the strategy, you are actually at a very advanced stage when it comes to that. But when it comes to looking at the business environment, that is still an area that is emerging. And when we look at specifically issues around data and how it's shared, that is an area where there's a huge gap, you know, apart from the digital infrastructure itself. So I would say there's some things that are happening and are advancing very well, but more work needs to be done on the digital infrastructure and improving access for both urban and rural dwellers as well as women and men.
So let's take some examples of where we're performing and the other side as to where we're not performing too well. Share them with us.
Well, one example is when you look at data. There are a lot of initiatives that are taking place right now to use more data in different aspects. For example, in the health sector, I believe that there's a lot of work which is looking at digitizing the health sector. And there's also work that is being done in digitizing agriculture, for instance. But all this is happening in silos. So the issue right now is how do we break the silos and how do we have more open data and more of a digital public good infrastructure, so that you can build on the developments in one sector to also support what's happening in other sectors.
But in terms of why we're performing so well, what do we do to sustain the gains that we've made over there?
Well, definitely, I believe that there's a very strong vision and a strong strategy for where Ghana wants to go. And this strategy needs to also influence the types of investments by both public and private sector actors. So definitely that is an area of strength that can be used to generate a lot of
My colleague Blessed Soga joins us with more on this. Blessed, how is she explaining the fact that we have challenges when it comes to data and how it is shared?
Well, so Aisha, basically, you know that just a couple of days ago, we celebrated the International Women's Day. This year's focus is trying to look at the inclusion of women in digital innovation and engineering. And as part of measures to rate and assess countries all over the world, the United Nations Development Program has been listing countries on what it calls the UNDP Digital Development Compass. So this appears to be a global map painting the picture of how countries are doing around the world. The ratings is between 1 and 5. So when it comes to Ghana, we know that, for instance, the Vice President, as the President was indicating in that tape, has been championing the digital agenda. We appear to be doing well in some areas. For instance, when it comes to regulation, government regulation appears to be doing well in terms of the digital space. Out of 5, we're rated somewhere around 3.46. But then the figure begins to decline when it comes to critical infrastructure, because when you look at, for instance, regulation, Ghana appears to be doing extremely well. When it comes to regulating the financial sector with digital innovation and all of that, we are deemed to be at stage 4. That's just a step away from achieving the optimum level. It's the same for people's awareness when it comes to issues relating to digital transformation. We're being rated 3 out of 5. But for infrastructure that will make and open people's access to key and critical digital infrastructure, we're lagging behind. We're performing not creditably, 2.6 out of 5, which the UNDP believes that we're not doing well with. Overall, we're at level 2, which means that we're opportunistic when it comes to our digital development compass. It's the same for many other countries in the West Africa sub-region. And that includes, of course, countries such as, of course, Nigeria. You talk about the likes of Niger, talk about Liberia. All of these countries appear to be on that level, level 2, which the UNDP is terming as opportunistic. South Africa appears to be that country that's doing well. They've moved beyond stage 3. And they appear to be doing well when it comes to their digital transformation. So Ghana has a long way to go, particularly when it comes to the issues of infrastructure and ensuring that there's data openness. That's the next level that the UNDP would want us to increase and open access to, because issues relating to data openness and making things transparent, we're not doing that as much. The belief is that data is being siloed. We're still using paperwork as of now in most of our dealings, a reason for which there's a call that we show much more, commitment to making digitalization more inclusive to women and also improving our infrastructure.
This is Soga is with International Affairs Desk. The former MP for Hohoi Kosi Kedem says former parliamentarians face financial difficulties when once they leave office. He believes a robust pension scheme to replace the current ex-gratia payment will provide better cover for legislators and save the taxpayer from the period huge amount doled out to exiting MPs.
During our time, as I've told you, we were guinea pigs. They were experimenting with us. We did not even have condition of service. Okay. We were paid on account. It means you cannot even make a budget for yourself. It means that they pay you as and when they decide. We're being paid on account. So our life was quite miserable.
Without that end of service benefit, are you worse off as a former MP?
Look, because we don't have any SNIT scheme, pension scheme. Yeah. We didn't have anything like that. And we don't, even now, they don't have anything like that. Okay. In other parliaments, they have pension schemes. but in the Parliament of Ghana, they don't have pension scheme. So whatever you are paid, you have to depend on it for life. And we're fighting for at least that this pension scheme should be introduced. If not for us, but for the sitting MPs. Because how can you, the money they were paying to us, it was a very dangerous and unsafe mechanism, because when you are giving that money, bulk money, you can misuse it. You can invest it wrong. What happens if the investment goes wrong? But pension, you can be giving some money in bulk, then they spread the rest over your lifetime.
So they can cancel ex gratia and replace with pension?
Well, it would be a good idea, because in parliaments where pension schemes exist, they don't pay them ex gratia.
Okay.
You cannot have ex gratia and pension at the same time.
And in our Ghana Man series, for 300 years, the people of Nframabuom and the Ashanti region lived in caves to escape wars. Today, the caves have been taken over by bats, but occasionally some Christians visit the caves to pray. In today's edition of Ghana Man, Kojoyang Singh explores Nframabuom, which is loosely translated as Windy Caves, and reports that the tourism ministry can give the place a facelift.
In the Ashanti region is a forest-rich, mountainous area. This is where you will find Nframabuom. You can be forgiven if this is your first time hearing of this place, but I can assure you, after today, you will never forget it. Nframabuom has a captivating history. For 3 centuries, their ancestors lived in caves, and those caves are still there, waiting for you and I to discover them. We got very lucky at the very beginning when the Apejahene of Kwamang himself agreed to take us on a guided tour. He pulled on his Wellington boots and led us deep into the forest.
So Nana, tell us about this place. Here it's called Nframabuom, but it's annex, Nframabuom annex. During the olden days, you know, there were a lot of tribal wars. Yeah. And our ancestors moved away from a certain town called Amoako, and then came to settle at a place called Sumuna Kesieso. Elephant Hole. Oh, yeah, Elephant Hole. So, in the modern times, we said we have modernized it to be Sumuna Kesie, but it's Asumuna, Asunu Amuna Kesie.
Suddenly, the clear path we had been walking on disappeared over a steep edge. This is where most people would turn back, believing they can go no further. We certainly would have, if we didn't have Nana with us. But over 4 centuries ago, when Kabie the hunter got here, he decided to keep going. And that's how he discovered the famous Nframabuom, the Windy Cave.
A hunter, within that, within our ancestors, decided to go on an expedition, hunting expedition. Right. So fortunately, when he came down this way, he detected this cave, thinking there were animals in it, so that he could make a good hunt there. He entered the place and realized it was a safe place for people to live. Oh. Yeah. So he passed the night there. So the next day, he came to the town and got the chief informed about what he had seen. Right. Then the chief decided that, Okay, then they should come. So when they came and inspected the place, they realized it was a nice place where people could live.
Right.
So they went back and then got the chief informed about what they had come to see.
We're still live on JoyNews today. We'll take a break. When we come back, it's business.
Hello, good afternoon. Warm welcome to the business segment on JoyNews today with me, Pius Kojo-Bakai. We begin business from the agri sector because the value of food loss and waste in Ghana is estimated at $1.9 billion per annum. Well, speaking on the sidelines of a seminar organized by the Danish ambassador on food loss, lead researcher on the study, Dan Akwe, revealed that yam topped the chart with $560 million per annum.
March 12 marks the day of the Sustainable Development Goal, which aims to reduce food loss along production and supply chains. Ahead of the day, Embassy of Denmark organized a seminar to sort solutions from Danish and Ghanaian stakeholders following the launch of the feasibility study for cold chain business and investment in Ghana by the embassy. Dan Akwe is lead researcher and executive director of Agri Impact Consult.
After the research, then we realized that if you take tomato, yam, mango, citrus, and chilies, with the areas that we performed the analysis, the food loss was about $1.9 billion per annum. The commonest or the highest one was yam, and we're surprised that the food loss of yam was over $560 million per annum. The post-harvest loss of yam alone was about, mango was over $300 million. And if you take tomatoes alone in Greater Accra region, not the whole country, Greater Accra region, post-harvest loss of tomatoes was estimated at over $60 million per annum.
Danish ambassador to Ghana, Tom Norin, emphasized the need to form partnerships and finding solutions to challenges facing the agri sector in Ghana.
Denmark is actually traditionally a farming country. We've been an agrarian country for many, many years. So over the years, we've developed a lot of solutions that some of those will be applicable here. Others need to be adapted to be applicable here. We have companies today who look very much into finding solutions to food loss, including providing cold storage, cold chain, and other solutions. What we're saying is we want to bring in some of those Danish companies to match them with some of the Ghanaian partners, companies and partners who have the needs, and try and see if we can find long-lasting solutions. One of the things that we are saying very much is that we believe that these kinds of partnerships create real ownership on both sides, both, let's say, the person that, or the company that brings in the solutions and those who use the solutions, brings in real partnership and ownership, because both parties will have ownership. And through that ownership, we will create long-lasting solutions, thus sustainable solutions.
The report, commissioned by the Danish Embassy on Food Loss and Waste in Ghana, is titled Feasibility Study for Cold Chain Business, which involves the transportation and distribution of temperature-sensitive products.
Now, the Member of Parliament for Banda, Ahmed Ibrahim, has urged the youth to be cautious about exhibiting character traits that could affect their livelihoods. He spoke at the graduation ceremony of 150 drivers trained at Bana as part of the Youth Empowerment Program. Precious Semevo has more.
150 youths, including 3 females, in the Banda district of the Bono Region, have been trained in car driving by the MP for Banda, Ahmed Ibrahim, as part of his module in a livelihood empowerment drive. The training at City Connect Driving School in Banda came at no cost to the beneficiaries, in addition to free driving licenses and certificates. According to the MP, who is also the Deputy Minority Chief Whip, a yet-to-be-constituted board will supervise the sharing of cars and motor tricycles to some of the drivers on a work-and-pay basis to enable more to be purchased for other beneficiaries.
Everybody has gotten their licenses,
and the license is A and B, meaning you can drive motorcycle and you can drive vehicle with the same license. But the end game is that everybody who is given a license today must use it as an economic base. There's going to be a board with rest from the religious bodies, then rest from the youth groups, and then rest from the assemblymen. So if we give it to you and you are defaulting, the pressure will not come from me, the MP. It's the system that will tell you that you are not helpable. Bring it and let's give it to this man. He can pay it. The condition is that by the time you finish paying, the money you bring, we use it to go and buy a new one. Then you take this one. Then we give that new one to him. That is how we are going to do it. But if it starts well, other investors will come in.
Ahmed Ibrahim urged the beneficiaries to exhibit good character traits in their daily activities, as credibility is key for the youth to excel.
Lead somebody's business as your own business. If you steal government, you steal yourself. If you steal the business owner, you steal yourself. If that character formation is inculcated and become intrinsic in our youth, let me tell you, nobody will be unemployed. Why is it that David was not unemployed? Why was Daniel not unemployed? From prison, he became a governor. It's because of integrity, credibility, and honesty. But there were others who were lying to the king. They were unemployed. But the one who spoke the truth was employed. So it's about honesty and sincerity. There are jobs in Ghana, but getting the required values in the person you are looking for, that is what we don't have.
Some of the beneficiaries spoke to JoyNews.
Looking at me, I'm from a very poor home and needed to get something small to feed the family. But with the Honorable bringing this program, it has helped me to become a professional driver. And I know with this, I can help my family through that.
If you see me crying, not just that I'm crying for crying sake, but it's a tear of joy because of my dreams has come into reality.
Among the dignitaries at the ceremony were the Tyne and German North MPs, Precious Semevo, JoyNews, Banda.
And that's your business for now. I am Pius Kojo Bakadaro. Will come your way at 1 p.m. with the marketplace.
Muftar Nabilabla here with sports on JoyNews today. The Chief Executive Officer of the National Youth Authority, Pius Anam Hajude, says the government is committed to completing the multi-purpose youth resource centers they began 5 years ago. Speaking on the AM show earlier today, he reiterated government's commitment to ensuring that the facilities are ready for use by the end of this month.
So there's not a question of maybe. The Honorable Minister, the governing board, management headed by myself, we are committed to completing these projects. And that's why we had to even alter our strategy a little. And so have all the assurances that you may desire. And please be advised that these projects will be committed. The president is interested and very keen on it. His investments in sports are really and truly unprecedented. And that is why beyond even what we are doing, there are many other infrastructure that is quite also sports heavy that the National Youth Authority is engaged in. So please be assured that all of these facilities will be completed. However, let me take the time to commend your interest in our work as a media institution, and let us also say a big thank you to the people of the various areas that have had to bear with us, their patience. We recognize it and we are grateful for their patience. We can only ask them to hold the line a little longer. In due course, all of these facilities will be completed and will be made available for use.
So when should the people expect to see their facilities and start using them? The first 5, I mean.
Like I said, for the 6 that went on stream last year, within this quarter, save my availability to go and hand them over. these projects should be handed over to the community. They are done. They are almost complete. You saw who we did the national celebration in Ho, and I just informed you that that's where they also held their celebration. Wa is almost done. They are just fitting the gates. Axim is fitting the tartan tracks as we speak. So within due course, these facilities will be handed over for usage.
When you say within due course, what does it mean?
I've said this in minimum. I said, first of all, I said this quarter, and you push further. I said within due course.
The Ghana Premier League would be happening this weekend. Let's take a look at the fixtures for March Day 22 in the competition. 21, we have Bibiani Gold Stars to come up against Accra House of Oak. That game will be happening at the Dance Park in Bibiani. On Sunday, Diana Stars League leaders will come against Mediama Sporting Club. Great Olympics will play Samatex. Brekum Charles will come up against Legon Cities. Ashanti Kotoko. Their game against Kim Faisal has been postponed due to the National Sports Authority's decision to close down the Wayara Sports Stadium to put it in shape to host the African Cup of Nations qualifier between Ghana and Angola. Real Tamale United, they will come up against Tamale City. It is a derby. They call it the Tamale Derby. Kerala United will come against Nframabuom. And on Monday, Accra Lions will play Dreams FC. These are the fixtures for March Day 21 in the Ghana Premier League. At 1:15, Joy Sports rules out. Our new show is called Game Plan. That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. Up next.
That'll be it for the bulletin also. But before we wrap up, these are programs coming up on our screens. We have News File coming up tomorrow at 9 a.m. and other programs will follow suit. That'll be it. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.